my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Wade with Black Tie Barn. I hope you enjoyed that sneak peek preview of our newest fragrance oils. That's from our two most recent fall collections. One is called the Fall Standard and the other is called the Freaky Fall. I want to take a few more minutes to share a little bit more about this collection, the inspiration, and a little bit more about the fragrance oils. So as I mentioned, there are two independent fragrance collections here as part of this fall release. There are a total of 11 fragrance oils. The first is the Fall Standard, and that has 6 fragrance oils. This is your more traditional fall, sort of warm, comforting fragrance release. Now, while I say that, there is still some adventure and fun to these as well. For example, I'm just going to rename the ones that we've talked about so far. Bourbon Eclipse. Think of this as a blackberry bourbon. It's very warm, it's very comforting. It's got a fantastic balance of both the blackberries and the bourbon. After that, we also have the Crimson Spice. Now, this is mostly a cinnamon and clove fragrance oil, but it is balanced with just a hint of sweetness. And the reason for that is, like I said, it is mostly a sort of red hot candy type fragrance oil, right? Lots of cinnamon, lots of clove, lots of spice. But as this burns in an open space, the longer it burns, some of those kind of touch of sweeter notes will start to develop and linger and make this fragrance feel a little bit more balanced and inviting. Now, the Forager is a very unique fall earthy fragrance. The idea behind this one, the inspiration behind this one is it's kind of like a hunter-gatherer type fragrance oil, right? So think of that fall, a fall forager. So think of some earthy, gourmand type notes. So with this, you're gonna get some caraway seed, fire roasted chestnut, leather, tonka bark, and then right off the top notes is a little bit of burnt sugar. It's a really, really interesting gourmand, but sort of subtly earthy gourmand fragrance. And so I think this is one that's not necessarily gonna get the most attention based off the description, the name, the images, the notes, but when you try it, I think a lot of people are gonna fall in love with it. Now, the Gathering is a more traditional, I would say Thanksgiving, holiday feast type fragrance. First and foremost, what you're going to detect is that apple or apple cider type fragrance, but it's also grounded by a pumpkin bread, a salted butter, base notes of oak wood, amber, and it also has a little bit of vanilla in it as well. And again, this is supposed to kind of make you think of that just warm, comforting gathering of a Thanksgiving table. And that was the inspiration behind that one. Next up is Pumpkin Froth. Now, this is our take on sort of a pumpkin latte, but it has a little bit more of a whipped kind of top to it. So it's not like a straight in-your-face pumpkin, not straight latte. By the way, we have a collection, our pumpkin collection, I would argue is the best collection of pumpkin fragrances you can find. Between Sassy Pumpkin, Pumpkin Affair, Twisted Pumpkin, Pumpkin Froth. I mean, our pumpkin collection is to die for. So while you're looking at the Pumpkin Froth on the website, make sure you check out the other ones as well. They are all fantastic. But again, back to the Pumpkin Froth. Of course, you're gonna get the cinnamon, the pumpkin, the nutmeg, the cardamom, some of those kind of spiced latte type notes, right? And this one's excellent. I think it's a really good combination of everything. And then last but not least on the Fall Standard is our Sticky Apple. Now the inspiration for this one is picture yourself at a fair or a carnival, your caramel or candied apple. So you're really detecting the green apple first and foremost, and then the caramel for sure. So you get the green apple, the caramel, the vanilla, the sugar. You get all of that in a really, really nice, nostalgic, I mean, it just brings you back instantly. I love this fragrance. Out of all the fall ones, I'm not a big sweet gourmand person. That's not the type of fragrance profiles that I'm drawn to, but I love this one. And maybe it's because I like apple, I don't know, but This one smells really, really good. And you actually get every bit of those notes, the caramel, the candied apple, the green apple. It's fantastic. All right, so that was the fall standard. The other one, which was by far my most favorite one to work on, is the freaky fall, is what we called it. And that is our more mysterious, dark, haunted twist for fall fragrances. These are geared more towards Halloween, but not just Halloween, it's any kind of vibe like that. We have a lot of fragrances that also fit that vibe. These are the ones I enjoy working on the most because I love working on the creatives, the images, the names, the note profiles. Maybe someday, if you guys are interested, let me know in the comments. I'll work on a video talking about how we come up with these oils and the inspiration and how I develop them. And if you guys are actually ever interested, let me know in the comments below if you would like to see more about, or me talk through more about how I actually come up with these fragrances, the note profiles, where I get the inspiration, what I'm thinking about, some of the notes that I design and set up and then have the labs work on to try to create. It's a lot of fun. It does take a lot of work and a lot of time. We go back and forth, and sometimes it's like, all right, we can't figure this one out. Let's go a different route. It's a lot of fun though, and you guys would, I think it'd be really interesting for you to see some of these profiles I'm designing out of my head. Now, they're not all possible, or you got to kind of change them up sometimes. But these types of collections are my absolute favorite to work on. Okay, so enough blabbering. Let's talk about the 5 fragrances that are in the Freaky Fall 2025 collection. First up is black cider. Now, I don't think you can really go wrong with any cider fragrance. But this black cider is a little bit different than your other ciders, including any of the cider notes from The Gathering or any other type of cider you've probably used. I wanted something that was a little darker, a little bit more edgy, and I think we nailed it. So for the top notes, you're gonna get some Macintosh apple, but you're also getting a little bit of red currant wine as well. Kind of adds that haunted Halloween witchy type vibe. And then of course you're gonna have clove and sugar. We went with more of a burnt sugar because this is our black cider. It's a little darker. And then we also wanted just a touch of something, I guess, more dark as well. So we went with a little bit of charred oak, and then there's toasted tonka. So this is not your typical cider. I absolutely love it. This was one that I was dropping kind of previews for to some others that we work with, and they were the most excited about. So check it out if you haven't already. Next up, we have Ghost Stories. Now the point of this one, I probably don't have to explain, was that feeling of sitting around a fire telling ghost stories. You're getting a little bit of a toasted marshmallow. We also added a little bit of blood orange zest to kind of elevate it a little bit. It has Kate smoke, toasted vanilla bean, charred birchwood, and a little bit of patchouli. All of this creates a very well-rounded, sort of smoky, sort of sweet, but very intoxicating, very interesting fragrance oil. And I mean, when you smell this, and then you think of the name Ghost Stories, you're probably gonna be like, yeah, I think that's actually it. So if you're not a super fan of overly smoky, and you're not a super fan of overly sweet, but you like a little bit of both, this might be a perfect fragrance oil for you. So again, this is another one that was more about nostalgia and creating a memory and that feeling of like, oh, I remember sitting around the fire telling ghost stories, and that's where this one came from. You will detect that toasted marshmallow in there too, if that interests you. All right, the next up was Hidden Manor. I will say this was the hardest one for me to describe, to come up with the name, to come up with the imagery. By the way, I have blotter strips, but I'm the one that developed these and curated these fragrance oils, so I already know what they smell like. This is more for visual appeal, so you know what I'm referring to, and to jog my memory. But I normally use blotter strips and know the difference on the dry down and everything. But anyways, the Hidden Manor, like I said, this was tough. This has a lot of complexity going on. The top notes have rose, honey, cedar. The middle notes have some lavender, and the base notes have some fir balsam and a musk. Now this is kind of a old cedar chest type fragrance. And for us, with the theme of the freaky fall, the Halloween, the haunted vibe, Hidden Manor is what stuck out to me. And it smells like an old house, like an old abandoned manor that maybe has something haunting going on, that maybe is a little something uneasy, right? And you will detect all of those kind of dried, like old smelling type of like haunting notes. I mean, it's a really, really good fragrance, and it could honestly be used all year long in so many of the different applications. You could rename this to anything. You can call this cedar chest. I mean, there could be so many good names for this. I think the way you describe this fragrance is going to direct the person who you're talking to what they would imagine. In other words, like this is a very leading and suggestive fragrance oil. If I tell you it smells like a hidden manor, you're going to think hidden manor or haunted house. If you tell someone else it smells like upscale cedar chest, they're gonna be like, oh, that's exactly what that smells like. It's a very subjective fragrance oil, but I think that's part of what makes it so unique and interesting. Now, the last two are my favorite two from this collection. Well, hold on, black cider too. But these two are crazy unique. We're gonna start with Obsidian Sugar. Now, this is one of the best semi-sweet, gourmand-ish type fragrances that I ever smelled. And it's got a lot of attention so far. I've heard comments like this is a 1,000 out of 10. I've heard I already need more of this. I should have went with a bigger bottle. So it's made up of top notes of dark rum and toasted marshmallow, middle notes of caramel and molasses, and base notes of velvet cashmere, black patchouli, and tonka. Now, as you can tell by a lot of those notes, dark rum, toasted marshmallow, black patchouli, caramel, molasses, all these are very like kind of dark and thick, right? And so that's where we came up with the name Obsidian Sugar, with black sugar. And that is like all of these notes coming together, the molasses, the rum, the toasted marshmallow, and they just, oh man, it's so good. It's hard to describe. It's gonna be liked by everyone. It could be used year round as well. Honestly, most fragrances can be used year round. It just all depends on how you market them and name them. But Obsidian Sugar, if you like something that's a little semi-sweet but different from everything else, oh man, you've got to try this one. Got to try this. And then last but not least, the other very, very popular one from this collection is Raven's Hollow. This was the first one that we got done as part of Freaky Fall collection. And it was the one I was most excited to work on too, just because, I don't know, when I was developing this collection, I was trying to think of ideas like what I want to name these, what kind of scent profiles am I going for. I just recently watched Game of Thrones again for like the third time, and I just happened to be on the scene where the first time the three-eyed raven came in, so I was like, oh my God, Raven's Hollow. That was the name, it just instantly jumped out. So I love the name Raven's Hollow, and so we were trying to capture that like mysterious, kind of dark, in the woods, but has some other elements going on as well. So the name is interesting, but the fragrance notes are just as interesting, and that is black plum skin and orange for the top notes, smoked myrrh, dried fig, and labdanum resin for the middle notes. Super unique, super complex. And then base notes of charred oud, amber, and moss, forest moss. Now, as you can tell, this is a very unique, very complex fragrance. Most of our fragrance oils are super complex. It's such a great combination of all those different notes working together. And holy cow, it is so good. It's sort of, to me, it's like if you took a little bit of the black cider and a little bit of Obsidian Sugar and definitely some of the hidden manor and just kind of like intertwine them. So it has that kind of old-fashioned, haunted, empty house type fragrance, but it has a little bit of fruit, a little bit of smokiness, and it has a little bit of earthiness. And I mean, when I smell it now, I'm like, God, Raven's Hollow just sounds perfect. I mean, we could have named this anything, but for me, this really made a lot of sense. And it's such a fun fragrance. I think it would do very well. Guys, if you're looking for something that's more edgy, dark, mysterious, fun, unique, complex, especially for like later in the year around Halloween, or it's just part of your niche or vibe, you got to try this collection. You won't be disappointed. If you're looking for something more traditional, warm, typical fall, Thanksgiving vibe, then go with the fall standard. You can't go wrong with either one of these. If you aren't aware, we sell a discovery set for each one. So we didn't put all these into one, they each have their own. The fall standard and the Freaky Fall discovery sets. You get somewhere around a 15% discount if you just purchase them that way instead of individually. So if you want to try them, that's the best way to do it. Available on the website. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for your support. Thanks for following this journey as we were rolling out these fragrance oils. Your guys' feedback has been amazing so far. If this is the first time you're seeing these fragrance oils, jump on the website and check them out. You won't be disappointed. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you next time.
I live inside my own world of make-believe.